Namaskar. A very good evening to each one of you and a very hearty welcome to this session in the ongoing series on the Shiva Sutras. It is a very sacred knowledge which has come to us through the great sages of Kashmir Shaivism. They were spiritual scientists who had a very refined way of looking at this creation and come up with insights about the secrets behind this creation. So let us prepare ourselves to receive this secret knowledge. By preparing ourselves, and we are going to do this by getting centered within, in an attitude of great love and great respect for the great sages, because of whose grace it is possible for us to receive this knowledge today. So we'll chant Om 3 times and then make a prayer to the Guru Principle. So let us chant Om on the out breath. So take a deep breath and start. Let us pray to the Guru Principle and very especially to the lineage of the great masters of Kashmir Shaivism. For thousands and thousands of years, they protected this knowledge, transmitted it from one enlightened master to another, and it was through the grace of Swami Lakshmanju Maharaj who spoke about this knowledge in English to seekers who had come to him from various parts of the world, that this knowledge was put in the form of books that are available to us today and this has become accessible to us now. We can never thank the masters enough. So let us pray to them. Akhand mandalakaram व्याप्तं येन चराचरम् तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। ॐ श्री सद्गुरवे नमः। Some of us may have met some living masters. Others may not have met a living master. But the fact of the matter is that all of us are here because of the grace of our masters, who are operating in very mysterious ways. They may not be visible to us, but they have been guiding us to knowledge that will translate into knowing, and that will be instrumental in liberating us from this endless cycle of birth and death. To all those masters, we bow down respectfully because they have brought us here. And we bow down most gratefully to the masters of Kashmir Shaivism because they are behind whatever we are going to learn today and later on in this series. Om Shri Sadguruve Namaha. Sadgurunath Maharaj Ki Jai. When we are going out for a function, or if we are going to do something which is sacred in our homes, we like to take a bath. We wear clean clothes. And here, through this Guru Vandana, we are in fact giving the mind a bath. It allows the mind to become more centered within. All those ideas and thoughts which are disturbing, they stop bothering us. And in this state of heightened awareness, we are better prepared to receive whatever the masters are ready to offer to us. So in your heart, bow down to the Gurus once again and see how the inner state is changing. The breath automatically starts becoming very subtle. the frequency of thoughts striking the mind goes down. The mind becomes less cluttered. So with this preparation, let us enter this session. So far we are on the third sutra. We did it earlier. And what does the third sutra say? It says, Yoni Varga Kala Shariram. So, Yoni Varga Kala Shariram. Is the full slide visible to everyone? Okay, thank you. So what does Yoni Varga Kala Shariram? We had, sort of dealt with it earlier also. Okay, what is Yoni Varga? So Yoni Varga is, no, I think there is some issue. We have gone beyond. We have gone to later slides. Beginning. It is going back.
सर यहीं पे स्क्रॉल कर लीजिए ऊपर
हाँ
ऊपर वहीं पे चलिए स्लाइड शो डेस्कटॉप शेयर कीजिए मैं बताता हूँ
आई एम नॉट वेरी
मैं बताता हूँ और लेफ्ट साइड में ऊपर स्क्रॉल करते हुए जाइए और ऊपर कर लीजिए
आ गया ना
हाँ क्या अब शिफ्ट F5 दबा दीजिए
हाँ
शिफ्ट F5
Shift F5. Okay. Thank you for telling me.
आगे
नहीं, it has again gone back to.
अरे एस्केप कीजिए वहीं पे अटका हुआ है एस्केप दबाइएगा
So
और
it is
ऊपर से
going to the.
जाएगा जाएगा जाएगा
Okay, now I think I will use this. Everybody can read what is there, isn't it?
सर वहां पर ऊपर आप देखिए
फुल
फ्रॉम
स्क्रीन करना पड़ेगा
फ्रॉम करंट स्लाइड सेकंड आइकन है सर लेफ्ट से
हाँ अभी आ गया. So we say that Yoni Varga means differentiated knowledge. Is it okay, Anju? Okay. तो ये हम लोगों ने पहले भी किया था, but we will go over it again because sometimes these concepts can be a little challenging. So what is Yoni Varga Kala Shariram? So we'll try to understand what is Yoni Varga. So Yoni Varga means, in Kashmir Shaivism, it means differentiated knowledge. And what is differentiated knowledge? He is mine, that is, he is not mine, this is beautiful, this is not so beautiful, this is good, this is not good or bad. So these statements are differentiating. So there is a difference between one and the other. We have different ideas, and according to those ideas, we are differentiating one from the other. So this is knowledge which is Yoni Varga. And this knowledge is coming from illusion. Because in the first sutra we understood, the first sutra makes this statement, Chaitanyam Atma. So everything is Chaitanya only. And what is Chaitanya? The supremely free energy of God. But because we are in a form which is limited, we have understanding which is limited. Because of that limited understanding, we see things in a manner where we differentiate one from the other. And this differentiation is Maya. So this impurity which is there in our being, because of which we are creating this differentiatedness, that is Mayimal. Mal or impurity because of illusion. So because of this impurity of illusion, we have Yoni Varga, because we determine everything in a class. This is one class, this is another class, this is my body, that is somebody else's body. Though essentially everything is the same, but we see things differently. That is where the illusion, the power of illusion is manifesting, and we understand things differently. Then what happens? Ki Kala Sharira. Now what is Kala Sharira? Kala means action. Kala means doing something. Creating an art, creating something, doing something. So this comes from the action part. So when there is action, we are concerned with action, then the thoughts may arise, this is done, this is over, this is not over, there's so much remains to be done, this is well done, I have done it very nicely, and I have not been able to do things. So these statements are related to the actions that we perform. And the assessment of that action creates this world for us. So this is an impurity which is karmamal. Because of certain karma, because either we are doing something in thought, we are doing something in action, because of that thought, combination of thought and action, there is an assessment, and there is a residue. That is something that we decide at the end, that this is what has happened, and this is karmamal. Though if we look at it purely from the classical point of view, the first teaching of Kashmir Shaivism, what does it say? Chaitanyam Atma. Only Shiva exists, only Chaitanya exists. And in that Chaitanya, nothing is happening. It is the same energy which is creating different worlds, different thoughts, different images, different assessments, different feelings. It's all the same, there is no difference. But because we have limited awareness, there is something where we are not fully in that experience of Shiva. There is the Yoni Varga, which is the power of illusion. We see things differently. And then there is karmal, because there is our assessment of karma that we are doing, we have this thought, oh, I did this very well, I am such a wonderful person, I have achieved so much. And then somebody may think, I have done nothing in this life, it is a waste. I am so poor, I don't know, I am ignorant. So all this is karma. So these two types of mal are mentioned here as Yoni Varga, Kala Shariram. So to understand it more particularly, we can say Yoni Varga, Kala Shariram Bandha. As long as you are into this classification of things, I exist, he exists, she exists, different this chair exists. There is this differentiation which is happening. We are putting in a class of things, yoni varga. Everything is coming out of that supreme goddess, supreme power of the energy of the goddess. But because of limited our own illusion, power of illusion, we don't see that energy, we don't see that oneness in everything, we see them differently. And in the same way, because we are doing things and for every action we make an assessment, so there is Kala Shariram. So everything that you see has one part Yoni Varga, which is the power of illusion, the impurity born out of illusion, and Kala Shariram, the impurity born out of action. And these two things create bondage. So is this clear? It is more clear than before? Okay. Then we go to the other thing. Okay, Yoni Varga. So Yoni Varga means, that day also I was talking and I said Yoni means the female genital organ. So when we say Yoni Varga, it is only giving a representation, it is a symbol of where things are coming from. We have all born out of Yoni. And there is this process of procreation that happened when the linga and the yoni came together. So yoni varga, because we are born out of that yoni, that creative process of the divine creative process of Devi, we tend to identify things in classes. So yoni is the cause of the universe. This whole universe has come out of yoni. And yoni represents the creative power of the goddess. So out of that creative power of the goddess, this universe has manifested. But we associate things in a class. So we say, I am an Indian, I have this body, this is one finger, this is another finger, this is a third finger. So we are classifying. So some things are directly classified, some things are indirectly classified, and that is because that is what is called yoni varga. How we look at ourselves and how we look at this world, and we put this into different classes. So when you look at your own things, there are certain things that you classify directly. We are very much attached to our own bodies. So when we look at this body and we say this is one finger, this is another finger, this is direct knowledge, something which we are always aware all the time. But there is some indirect knowledge. We are at home, we look at the wife who walks in and the thought arises, she is my wife. So this is indirect knowledge. A child comes in, my granddaughter comes and keeps playing with me. I look at her and I say, that is my granddaughter. So this is indirect knowledge because there is an association. I am not knowing her directly. It is because of an association that this knowledge is arising. So when this comes to yoni varga, how these classes are coming, some are coming through direct experience, and some are direct association, and some are arising through indirect association or attachment. So that is how we say yoni varga. So this is the power of illusion. Though the same Chaitanya is playing in everything, the same Chaitanya has become everything, but because of this direct or indirect attachment or classification, we look at those things as yoni varga. We even look at ourselves and we say, I am this body, I am so and so. This is yoni varga, Kala Sharira. And this is the Mayimal, the power of illusion. This is the impurity created out of illusion. So look at Kala Shariram. So Kala Shariram is what? It's an embodiment of action. It is It is coming out of Kala Shariram. So this is embodiment of action. So any action which enters your body, and it can enter in your mind, it can enter as a thought, it is leaving an impression on you. And this is Kala Sharira. Because we have a thought, it leaves an impression, and this is the Kala Sharir. And what is this impurity called as? This is Karmamal. Because of constant association with a particular thought or a particular action, we assess ourselves as something or somebody. And this is an impurity that we are creating out of this action. So it is karma. So a person who is too much in love with himself is a narcissist. He looks at his image in the mirror and he feels very happy. Keeps on looking at it. And there is somebody who looks at his image in the mirror and says, "Oh my God, I don't look good." So there is an association that I am not good enough. Somebody is successful in a big examination, or somebody feels so proud how he walks, how his chest is puffed, because that particular result has left an impression there. Or if somebody has failed, not successful, then how is this person walking? So this thought, or this is everything is leaving a residue there. So out of that residue there is a classification. I am not good enough. But how it is happening, how that classification is happening? Yoni Varga here is happening because of Kala Sharir. The failure in some much cherished area of life. So there is something which has not gone all right. There are people, people who go through divorces these days. Divorces are very common. And sometimes, men and women both, they go into this kind of feeling of having been rejected. I have been rejected. Was I not good enough? And this thought comes up and it is being reinforced every day. So this is Karmaval, Kala Sharir. So this is the result of the Karmamal, and this is also bondage. Because you are Chaitanya, there is supreme bliss, there is all power, everything is available. But because of these malas, these impurities, a person is classifying himself or herself in some limited form. A person is identifying with some thought which is limited or some action which is limited, and then that person loses the supreme freedom which that person has in the essence. So this is how it works. In this Pandgarika it is said that you are born free. Shiva has come to you has become you at the core of your being. But even though you are Shiva, and as Shiva you have supreme freedom, but that supreme freedom you are not exercising. Because you are attached with yourself to a particular form, to circumstances, to other things. So what happens? Because you stop associating with that supreme freedom and you choose to identify with the impurities. And because of identification with these impurities, you become worthless or powerless or incapable of doing anything. So you are trapped in limited knowledge. And what is that limited knowledge? Kala. Shiva is supremely free. He can perform anything, any action. But for us, when we are in that limitation, then it is kala means limited action. We cannot do something. We can do something and we cannot do everything. There is limited vidya, limited knowledge. So we know something very well, some things, and we do not know other things that well. So there is a limitation. And there is raga, that is attachment. I like my son very much, I like my family very much, I like this, I like something, I like to be appreciated by everyone. So there is an attachment. And we always want something which we feel is good. The ego says it is good. So there is an attachment to all these things. But there is something else operating. That is niyati. So through our yoni varga and kala sharir, we have attracted something, a particular object. Niyati, in common parlance, it means destiny. But here it is attachment. We have attracted to that particular thing. So that particular object or that particular circumstance manifests in our life. That is our limitation. We have not gone beyond niyati. We are bound to niyati. And then we are also bound to kal. Kal means death and kal also means time. So when we start identifying things in time, then kal means a particular space, a particular time and a particular form. In this lifetime, we are all have come here as human beings, but in another lifetime, maybe when we started this journey in this creation, we might have been stones. We might have been plants, we might have been birds or marine creatures, something. So in that particular space and time, that particular form was assigned. We attracted that form. That is how we have gone. So that is why this Yoni Varga Kala Shariram is deciding the class that we identify with and the kind of actions that we perform, that is manifesting in our lives in the form of limitation in action, limitation in knowledge, attachment, or attachment to a particular object which is manifesting there in our lives. This is how we get our husbands or our wives or our friends and our enemies. Good and bad, everything comes to us because we have attracted that. There is an attachment. And it all depends upon time. Because time decides that in which particular segment or space, which form or which circumstance is going to manifest. So this is the mystery of Yoni Varga Kala Shariram. So as I was saying, that the first sutra says the universal truth. What is the universal truth? Chaitanyam Atma. But Chaitanya gives complete freedom. But we do not think of ourselves as the expanded Shiva who is one with this whole universe. We think of ourselves as limited beings. We identify with this body and this form. So that is Anavamal. Anava means what is that is small. So because we think we are small, we are bound as small. We become limited in all these things. We become limited in kala, we become limited in vidya, we become limited in raga, we become limited by niyati, and we are limited by time. So we think that when this time passes on this planet, we will die. Because why this? Because, please mute yourself. Who is this? have some. So what happens is that because we are thinking of ourselves as limited being, we are thinking of ourselves as anus.
Bhai Sahib, can I ask a question now?
Please don't disturb. You can
Okay.
note down your question and ask it at
Okay. Okay.
and please keep yourself on mute because I am sharing the screen, so I can't see who is unmuting themselves. So this is how it goes, and because we have lost that, we are into the anormal. We lose that quality of chaitanya that we essentially are, and we become absorbed in attachment, and we are limited by time, and then there is the bondage of niyati. So this is how it goes, on and on, life after life. And this is a very particular great statement which is made by Swami Lakshmanju in his book. Because of niyati, because we have this kind of attachment or association in a given time, so we live in a house and we think this is my house. And we tell somebody else that other house is your home. It is not my house. My house is here. But what is the reality? This is neither your home nor his home. This is just pure Chaitanya, which has become more solid, and you can see it as a house. And it is your niyati that you are in that particular house at that time, and you think that it is my house. So this is what is the challenge. This is Maya. And this karmamal, so if we are really associated or we are really established in our true being, Chaitanya, there is supreme freedom, and that supreme freedom gives us the bliss. There is always a sense of joy. And this joy is not dependent upon something. We think that we will be happy if we have a very heavy bank balance. We think that we will be happy if we have a great house or a palace to live in or so many servants or helpers to help us. But this joy, when we are established in Chaitanya, this is not dependent upon anything. It is just spontaneous. That is the very nature. Bliss is the very nature of Chaitanya. But because we are involved or because we are bound by karmamal, the actions that we perform, and the mayamal, the power of illusion, because of which we do not see the undifferentiated energy of God, but we see things differently, that is where the contraction arises. So we lose that vastness, that expanse of being, and we are involved in becoming. So if we look at our own lives, what is it that we have done throughout our life? We are involved in becoming. So if you study, you want to be a good student. How do you assess yourself? Am I better than the others? So you need somebody else to tell you, make you aware that you are a good student. When a person is just studying for the love of the study, he or she does not need to compare. And then when you read something and you make a breakthrough, then there is so much of bliss, so much of joy that comes. You are doing something and you just surrender to that particular moment and that particular action. And what happens? Everything dissolves. And even if we have worked for a long time, there is this absorption there. We go beyond the body, we go beyond the mind, we go beyond our ego. And of course, that work that we perform, it becomes very nice. It shines. But you must have noticed that when you are doing something with this kind of a focus, then what happens? No matter how much you have worked, at the end of it, you feel very happy. You feel satisfied. There is a sense of joy. That is the bliss of the self showing its face. And this is how, when we are totally dissolved there, then we rise above the Mayimal. The sense of differentiation has dissolved. The power of illusion has dissolved. And the Karmamal, because we are not performing an action with a goal, we have just surrendered to that action. In that moment it is happening. We are there and we are part of it. Our own personality dissolves. So what happens is that surrendering oneself to an action with this kind of a total surrender or application is also becoming a means of coming out of the karma mal. Because as long as there is a desire hidden, as long as we have set our goals, as long as we are constantly assessing ourselves, then karma mal is going to arise. So this is something there, and I think I will stop here and take some questions if there are any. Yes, any questions? Duru, you wanted to ask something? Will you please ask?
You said about those 5 things which enhance the limits, the limitations.
No, these don't enhance, but these are there. That is how the limitation sets in.
Okay, can you explain that one more time? I was a little distracted, so I have not quite understood. And it's very interesting what you also said about being and becoming. It makes a lot of sense. So how do we move back to being more and more and less into becoming?
That's a good question. You see, it is like this, that, while explaining this, I said, Kala is limited action. So as long as we are in this sense of this limited being, the moment we think I am this body, I am this person who is performing this given role at a particular time, then by virtue of this, we are not in Chaitanya. We are not aligning ourselves to that unlimited, supremely free divine energy of God. So it loses its freedom. Because it loses its freedom, its attributes, kala, it becomes limited action. Vidya, it becomes limited knowledge, because as long as you think, oh, I have to study to know something or know it, you are not taking refuge in Chaitanya. Then what happens is that no matter how much you read, how much you study, how many degrees you take, you are only going into limited knowledge. We see it every day. There are medical doctors who are specialists. In science, all branches of science, there are specialists. So what happens? A specialist is a person who knows more about less. So you go to a doctor, he'll say, okay, I will look at this particular organ, but for the other things, you go to another person. So knowing more about less is limited knowledge.
Right.
Now, because of this limited action and limited knowledge, there is a desire to expand. We all want to expand. All our lives we are trying to expand our areas of action, our areas of knowledge, our own selves. So that creates raga, an attachment to everything. But we don't have that power, that freedom to do everything that we want. So that becomes our niyati, the destiny part. Because of this, we have attracted something. Certain things we have attracted, certain things we have not attracted. So whatever we have attracted in life, that comes to us on a platter. That becomes our niyati. And then there is kal. Everything is happening only in time. So in time, this body is born, this we see, okay, at this time I was a child, I was a baby, I grew up, I studied, I had this, I was a father, I was a mother, whatever. Everything happens in time. And at that when that time passes or when it is getting over, that particular thing, the body, whatever we think we are, it dissolves. So fact of the matter is that if we are Chaitanya, then there is no birth, there is no death. There is full knowledge, full action, no attachment. There's complete mastery over time. So that is why they say that if persons get enlightened, for them there is no time. There is no limitation of time. For us, time is linear. There is a past, there is a future, and in between there is this moment, the present. But for the enlightened master, it is just one space where past, present, and future meet, all at the same time.
Okay.
So a great master can immediately tell you what happened at this time when Jesus was being crucified. And at the same time, he can also go forward in time and tell you what is going to happen 10 years from now. Because for him, there is no limitation. There is no past, no present, no future. Everything is all together in one space.
Okay, and you said that we attract certain things to us. How do we do that? Consciously, unconsciously?
Most of the time, no, whatever we do it consciously, that is unconscious. It is like this, that the attachment and limited knowledge and limited action is so predominant that we think we are doing it consciously, but actually we are living a life of unconsciousness.
Okay.
The great master, a Buddhist master, so one of his disciples took him to France. And in France, the countryside is very beautiful. Everything is like, carved and crafted to perfection. And they were driving through this beautiful countryside, and there were these villas and houses, this, that, everything was picture perfect. And this man who had taken his master for this ride, he said, "Oh, such a beautiful place, such lovely houses." And the master said, "Yes, beautiful mausolea for the living dead." So what was the master hinting at? That people are awake, but they don't know. They are living a life in complete unawareness. So that is why he said they are the living dead. So we have to ask ourselves, am I the living dead? How can I become a living person all the time?
I think that's an interesting question to take up for a whole session by itself.
No, it is not a question that can be answered in a session. It is a question.
No, I mean for introspecting.
It is a question that should become a burning question for everybody who wants to know. Because in the Bible it is said that you knock and it will be answered. So that knocking has to be done by the person. The Guru cannot come and knock it for you. Nobody else can. So this is why anybody who went to Raman Maharshi and asked a question, and Raman Maharshi would only say, look for yourself and see who is asking this question through you. So every question that people asked, he would turn it around to themselves. And the whole point was that start looking within, because so far if you have not looked within, you are living a life of unawareness. You are bound by your thoughts, your impressions, your search. And look at your own life. If we look at our own lives, whatever we have wanted, that is what we become. But in that wanting is the limitation. Somebody does not have any money. He's a beggar. He looks around, people traveling in cars, zipping past this person where he's sitting on the roadside, and all the time he's thinking, I must be a rich man, I must be a rich man. Sure enough, in some lifetime. Okay, thank you, Dr. Kavita. I thought you had a question or something. But anyway, we'll do it next session. Thank you. So what happens is that this desire is there. Now because of this overriding desire, this person in some lifetime will become a rich man. Because he is attracting that thought. So niyati is being formed through constant repetition of thought, constant attraction to that particular state. Now when he has become rich, he says, oh, I've got so much wealth. But I am not valued in society. So some, big Netaji comes and everybody is running, trying to touch his feet. So what happens? He said, what is this wealth? Nobody appreciates me. I'm not getting that recognition which this fellow, this Netaji has got. So if this thought becomes very predominant, then in some lifetime he'll become a Netaji. He will attract. So this is how it goes. So whatever we like, and good things are also being attracted, some challenges are also being attracted, because the moment you keep upgrading your awareness, you are getting promotion in this journey of evolution. With each promotion, you are saddled with greater responsibility. And then there are some habits that we carry forward. So there are some people who have been, monks in previous lives. Now what else does a monk do? He doesn't care for anything. Now but there is some hidden desire that people who are householders, they are enjoying life. So this thought comes, he becomes a householder in this life. Now he has a wife, or a lady has a husband. But what happens? Because this sanskar, this thought of monkhood is there, it is ingrained. So what happens? I have seen people, some people have this idea that sex is bad. You have come into this form. How did you come here in this world? Out of sex. You have become a householder. Now suddenly, because you have been a monk in a previous life, you think sex is bad. So what happens? You deprive your partner. That creates disharmony, imbalance. Somebody has been a monk, he has never taken care of anything. Because he was a mastwala, he just, दो रोटी मिला के इधर खाने को मिल गया भिक्षा में, चलो हमारा काम हो गया. Now that fellow becomes a husband, he has to take care of a wife, a child, he has to do something for them. But because he is carrying that forward, that sanskar, he resists. किधर से आ गए ये लोग, हम क्यों करें इनके लिए, इतना नहीं करेंगे. Imbalance. So that is where, why is this happening? Because there is this disconnection from Chaitanya. Chaitanya is supremely free. So when the supremely free person or supremely free consciousness is taking part in this world, it does not differentiate between a monk and a householder. It does not differentiate between something as a responsibility and something as a preferred profession or preferred choice of action. It just flows, it participates in whatever comes up. And that is freedom. So freedom does not mean that you have to, some great thing will happen. Freedom is here and now. We can become free. And it's a process. So when we start looking at our own mind, our own actions, very, very minutely, with great awareness, then the karmamal and the mayamal both start dropping. They start reducing. And the more they're reduced, then suddenly one day from the limited awareness or from being limited beings, we can become cosmic beings. We can make that jump into that cosmic awareness and we would be free. So before I part, I would like you to contemplate something, which is what my Guru Mai once told a gathering. She said, mind your words. No, mind your thoughts. They will become your words. So isn't it true that whatever we think, that is how we speak? Mind your words. They will become your actions. Mind your actions. They will become your habits. Mind your habits because they will become your character. And mind your character because it will become your destiny. So there is a perfect line of progression. It begins with thought. So if you think that I want to be like that, you will become like that. It is said that what is the last thought you have when you are leaving your body in a particular life? That thought will determine your future life. So a thought which is governed by desire, a thought which is governed by some other search in this world, it will bring you in this world to this world only. And you will be entangled in this world. We all are here because we had a certain thought when we were leaving the body in an earlier life. Because of that thought, we have got this body. Karmamal. And then because of that karmamal, whatever we had done in previous lives, whatever impressions were created in our consciousness or in our bodies, that is how we have got a body. And that is how we have got a destiny. That is how circumstances have unfolded in our lives. So the more we become become rooted in the understanding that what is Mayimal, the power of illusion, or the impurity of illusion, and what is Karmamal, the impurity of action. If we choose, we become more conscious and we can start moving from being bound to being free. And that is the journey from becoming to being. No matter what we may become, every action has a certain result. Now all recognized religions they put great emphasis on good action. this will bring punishment. There is a, they perpetuate a system of reward and punishment. You do this and you will be rewarded, and you do this and you will be punished. It is not good. But if the action is being performed with a desire for something good, for something better, for better prospects, even that action is binding. Because what happens, you do some good action, you have done some great things, some charities, something, but the thought is there, I am doing it. So the moment this thought is there, you are upgraded in the system of rewards. So in the next lifetime, you have better prospects, you have better surroundings, better comforts, better facilities. But with those things, more responsibility. So if there is a mistake in completing that responsibility, it will bring greater punishment. So what happens? This cycle goes on. You do something good, you get rewarded for that. You do something bad, you get punished for that. But even doing good with this knowledge that I want to do good because I want to improve my prospects, this is not good. So the best thing is you just be and participate in everything. Know your own true nature. Become free while living in this body. Such a person does not attract anything. In fact, the great master, Mr. Solitavarya, once he asked me, what is freedom? And I gave him the scriptural answer. I said that someday, when the karmas have all dissipated, then you leave this body and you never come back. And I was driving the car, he was sitting by my side, and he gave me one slap in the back of my head and said, you idiot, why ever think of going away from this world? This is God's world. God is playing as everything here. So he said, know that. And you become liberated while living. Have you not heard what just Lord Krishna has said in Gita about being Jivan Mukta? So you should become Jivan Mukta. And then he said, in his own style, he said, you can always keep this much of karma. Because some karma is needed for this body to be there. So you keep the balance of only that much karma so that you can have this body. And then you go out of this body when the time comes and you come back again and do participate in this Leela. This is God's Leela. This is His play. So be here and enjoy this play. It is very beautiful. So this is the message of Kashmir Shaivism, Chaitanyam Atma.
This quote that you gave of Guru Mai about the thought and the words and so on, it's so relevant, and it's popping up a question in my mind. When I keep getting this thought, or I say it in my speech, I have a lot of pain, I am in pain, I have unbearable pain. So these are all thoughts and words, and that is multiplying the pain.
Yes, people who are always, look at people. There are some people who have face some difficult circumstances. And they are always only sharing their pain. They are only constantly meditating upon their pain. So what happens? You are allowing something to be blown out of proportion. And one child came up for darshan to Guru Mai. She had a fractured hand. And Guru Mai looked at her and said, how is it? And she said, just 2 days back the hand had been fractured. And she said, it is beautiful, Guru Mai. Everything is beautiful. And Guru Mai said, look at this child. She is a great teacher. So we always tend to, we think, give too much importance to ourselves. And because we are giving too much importance to ourselves, we are miserable. So we stop looking at the beauty which is around us, the greatness which is shining everywhere. So it is like we look outside only with a point of reference, that is us. We should become rooted in that pure awareness and then look outside and enjoy the beauty and joy which is present in this universe.
Okay, so I have become too focused on pain and suffering and therefore miserable now,
You need
and
to
I want to come
examine.
out of it.
You need to know. See, you don't have to come out, because coming out means an effort. So you are again getting involved into action.
Doing, okay.
Doing.
Okay,
You are not that pain. That's it.
okay.
So this is the thing. We are so much used to action. But in Gita, the Lord speaks about inaction in action. So you will have to do what is necessary. But you are not the doer. So when we detach ourselves from what is to be done, we can flow and be in our own. That is what I said, that from becoming into being. So when we are in the flow, we are into being. And we are not in the flow, then we are only becoming. And then we are doing, maybe even if we are doing something good or great, it is only cause bondage. Because the very idea behind that is association with this body and the role that this body is playing. Does that make sense?
Very much, very much. Thank you. Beautiful.
So I think we have gone beyond that. I thought it would be over before 9.
गुरु जी,
हाँ जी.
आप बोल रहे थे when the person passes away and the last thoughts, whatever they are there, that they become in the next life.
Yes, they will determine your next birth.
हाँ, तो वो स्टैचू ही बोलते होंगे तभी स्टैचू ही बोलते होंगे उस दिन
You
स्टोरी
think what last thought you had.
हाँ, तो
That
स्टैचू की
can give
स्टोरी
you,
याद आई मेरे को
lead you into introspection.
हाँ, तो आपने जो स्टैचू की स्टोरी बोला था वो याद आया मेरे
अच्छा, ठीक है.
वैसे हम लोग बहुत लकी हैं कि इतना सुन रहे हैं, इतनी अच्छी याद दिला रहा है.
नहीं, ये तो वो उनके स्वामी लक्ष्मण जी महाराज और वो उनके जो गुरु थे सब लोग, उनकी कृपा है. ये साधारण ज्ञान नहीं है. इसीलिए कम लोग आए या नहीं आए तो मैं उसके पीछे भी नहीं पड़ा, क्योंकि सबको चीज समझ में
किस्मत की बात है.
नहीं आएगी. हाँ, और उनकी तैयारी नहीं होगी तो नहीं आएंगे वो लोग. तो इसलिए उसकी चिंता करने का नहीं है. और कम से कम ऐसा है कि मेरा अपना विचार क्या है, इतनी देर इसका चिंतन करना ये अपने आप में ही एक भगवत कृपा है.
बड़ी कृपा है कि हम लोग सुन रहे हैं.
आप सुनकर धन्य हैं और मैं बोलकर धन्य हूँ. दोनों धन्य हैं. तो अभी फिर समाप्त करते हैं. असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय. शांति शांति शांति. सद्गुरुनाथ